Hello, Professor. I hope you are having a very Merry Christmas Eve. This is the final assignment where I will be evaluating an organization, and I'm going to stick with Strong Roots Christian School, which I have been evaluating and writing my papers on the entire class. It is the school that I work for as a science and math teacher. Before we get started, I just want to make note that yes, I know my eyes are very red. I actually was in urgent care this morning. I have a very severe case of pink eye caused from a sinus infection. So they actually look a lot better, but I just wanted to make you know that I am aware of it. So a little background on Strong Roots Christian School. It is in its second year. It started last school year. And it doubled in size, actually it almost tripled in size from the course of last year to this year. Now, when it was established from a family that had, unfortunately, had a really negative experience at another Christian school, and they wanted to open up a K through 12 school, or what would eventually be a K through 12 school, because most of the Christian schools around here are K through 8. As well as offer pre-K and kinder prep, I think is what they call it. So it started out from a lot of pain, but a group of parents just coming together and saying, hey, we want to offer Christian education to our students, or to our children, and then birthed Strong Roots Christian School. And it truly was miraculous. In a matter of 3 months, they found a building, enrolled enough schools, and hired enough staff to get going. They had an interim administrator who had helped in other Christian schools and came. And at this point, I was not involved in the school. I'd heard about it, but I wasn't involved. And then this last year is when I started working there. They got a new administrator who's in her first year of administration as well. Or she's in her first year of administration. I have taught before, but I took a break off because I did corporate business development and grant writing, and then assistant general counsel work for 10 years. So a little bit about Strong Roots Christian School. It has 13 staff and 167 kids. So it's busy. Diversity of the staff is not... it's just not a diverse staff. We all are relatively conservative Christians from the Midwest. I'm pretty sure if you looked at the life choices that we made and who we voted for and the music we like and the movies we've seen, we'd always all be actually really similar. And I think that to some degree is a discredit or a disadvantage for the school, because diversity brings about opportunity for growth and change from people who have experienced things from different perspectives. I would say without a shadow of a doubt, I probably bring in the most diverse opinions, and that is because before Colorado Christian University, I went to Harvard. And so I studied at a very liberal school, and I lived in a very liberal culture, and it made me somewhat moderate in how I view things, or just less, I live probably less fearful of people who have different opinions than me, because I lived and studied in a school where everyone had different opinions of me. And in fact, I had people make fun of me for being a Christian and being pro-life and just a lot of things. So adversity has made me probably have a thicker skin to having people disagree with me. Whereas here, because everybody mostly agrees on everything, when there is a conflict or a disagreement, there's very little coping ability to deal with it. The communication system and processes that are currently in place at Strong Roots Christian Schools are a little undefined. And I think you're going to find that consistently, excuse me, throughout the entire organization, because they are so new and they are developing policy and procedures. Theoretically, the administrator would be the leader of all of the teachers. However, most of the people who teach have been teachers longer than the administrator, and our board really kind of trumps everything she says, and simply because the president of the board and his wife are the ones who started the school. And so a lot of communication goes through them as well. And it's not a very open communication atmosphere at all. They want to be, they say like dealing with conflict, you do Matthew 18, and ideally that would be great if everyone felt comfortable doing that. Unfortunately, people really struggle dealing with that level of conflict. So communication is broken right now, to say the least. I would like to see, so full disclosure, I actually do not think the administrator is the right fit to be an administrator because of her communication and her people skills severely are lacking. This job is a lot about apologizing and a lot about working with people and a lot about communication, and those are probably all her weakest areas, unfortunately. The decision-making structures, everything within the classroom is made by the teacher. Everything within the school is made by the administrator. And then the financial and strategic future planning is made by the board. So the board is the administrator's boss. The administrators are the teacher's boss, but the teachers also report back to the board about the administrator. So you kind of have like a checks and balance, Congress, President, House of Representatives going on there. Conflict management. Again, we go back to how the theory is Matthew 18. Like, that's what they want everyone to do. You just go and then you bring another person with you. Unfortunately, our administrator doesn't apologize about anything, ever. And so a lot of things just get rerouted straight to the board because people are angry. When people are angry, they want an apologies or at least some level of communication, and that just hasn't happened yet. So conflict is not managed well at all. And the consequences to that is you have 3 teachers who aren't planning on coming back next year. A lot of dissatisfaction in how the school is, the atmosphere is among staff. Actually, a really excellent word or description I learned in our book during this class is emotional contagion. So our administrator is very emotional, and when she's stressed, she's like mean, and she like bites back at people, and it just sets this tone across the organization of everyone just being like, at the Christmas party the Christmas concert a couple weeks ago, it was a disaster. It went like 3.5 hours, 4 hours long. Parents were mad. They were leaving halfway through it. Our music teacher, she just was really disorganized and terrible time management. And the administrator started talking bad about her in front of the whole staff, which just opened up a door for staff to complain about her. And before we knew it, we're like standing in the middle of this like gossip fest. So you have that emotional contagion going on there. That is very, very, very destructive. I would say conflict management and communication are by far the most in need areas of improvement. And part of that has to go with the next point, leadership. So our leader leads in a way where she has like her inner circle and then her outer circle. I'm an outer circle person because I kind of march to the beat of my own drum. Big shocker. And then her inner circle, which unfortunately is only made up of a couple of people at this point, just because of some of the decisions that she has made as an administrator. And then the board is kind of have their own style of leadership, which I'm not really familiar with, simply because most of the board meetings are closed. As far as performance management, team motivation, so performance management isn't really being managed now because it's a new organization, but they're starting to. I actually was able to use a lot of suggestions from this class, suggesting surveys go out to parents and teachers and staff, everyone involved, to give feedback about the board, first of all, because they deserve feedback as well as teachers do. We all get evaluated. And then parents have the right to say, like, hey, what's going well with the school? What are our concerns? And so that's point 1. And that has to be done anyway for grant writing. And then 2, team motivation is just at an all-time low. What keeps us going every day is that we love Jesus and we love these kids and we want these kids to know and love Jesus and to not see the somewhat underbelly of like a nonprofit organization learning to function. I am trying to fill the gaps between what the administrator isn't doing and what I'm capable of doing, because, it's like Romans 12, we're all part of the same body, but we play different roles and we have different parts. And I can be friendly and welcoming and communicative and do all of those things very easily. It's my nature. I'm extremely extroverted. So I'm going to try and pick up those pieces where she's struggling in hopes to bring a little balance out to people, that they won't see her as an administrator representing the whole school. And then hopefully, this is unfortunate and this is sad, they just replace her next year, or a miracle happens and she gets a new personality. The health of the organization through the lens of culture is unhealthy. They handle change okay-ish. It's just not communicated well. Like, if you can have someone communicate it in a really effective way, people are like, all right, let's do this. It seems it's best for the school. This school is getting ready to do an $8 million building and expansion. And so we are all on the change roller coaster. And if you can explain all of the pieces and communicate that really well. Unfortunately, again, we have a communication problem where that's not being done. And so people are really upset over even minor changes. I apologize for my yawning. So that's a little bit about Strong Roots Christian School. A couple of recommendations to just promote that positive change is change the way you communicate with people. It's better to over-communicate than under-communicate. You need a new administrator. I'm so sorry, but that's just where it's at right now. Not a bad person, just not the right job for her, especially since there's no principal. Like, it would be different if it was a really large school district and you had multiple principals dealing with the day-to-day problems, but we don't have that. We have one administrator dealing with all of the problems. So being poor with communication and people is a detriment to the school, and probably one they won't survive if they keep doing what they're doing. The other thing that I would just recommend is opening up those ways to deal with conflict. And I know we want to all rely on Matthew 18, and that would be ideally great. But people aren't going to go and complain to the administrator who has the sole ability to fire them. So we are actually, per my suggestion, kind of getting a checks and balance for how that works. Anyway, so that's Strong Roots Christian School, my evaluation of them. Love this class. Great time. Hope you have a Merry, Merry Christmas. Thanks for looking at my disgusting face.